Today, we're going to unlock one of the most powerful tools there is for a child's future: reading. And we're not just going to talk about simple tips, we're going to get into the real science of why it works and how you can help make it a joyful, lifelong habit for the kids in your life. All right, let's jump right in. What if I told you that the secret to boosting academic achievement, mental well being, and future success wasn't some complicated, expensive program, but something that took just 15 minutes a day? It sounds way too simple to be true, right? Well, the data is actually pretty startling. But what happens when that 15 minutes doesn't happen? The stakes are, well, they're a lot higher than you might think. This number, 12 million, is the mind-boggling gap in the number of words a child who reads daily is exposed to versus one who doesn't by the time they graduate high school. 12 million words. Let that sink in. That's a truly life-changing difference. So, let's start by breaking down that magic number. Where does this whole 15-minute idea even come from? And what does it actually do for a child's brain? Okay, take a look at this. This is where it gets really interesting. Researchers from Renaissance Learning looked at millions of students and found a crystal clear tipping point. See that first bar on the left? Reading for less than 15 minutes a day leads to pretty sluggish, below average gains. But look what happens the second a kid crosses that 15-minute line. Their reading gains don't just get a little better, they accelerate, they take off. And you can see it just keeps climbing. The jump to 30 minutes, even higher gains. That 15-minute mark is the launch pad. But here's the kicker. This is the problem we're all up against. Even though we know how powerful this is, reading just for fun is in a steep, steep decline. The data here is pretty sobering, especially for teenagers. The number of 17-year-olds who read for fun almost every day has just plummeted. And at the same time, the number who say they never or hardly ever read for fun has tripled. Tripled. So we've got this clear evidence of what works, but the trend is going in the exact opposite direction. And listen, this isn't just about test scores or getting good grades. The impact of reading goes so much deeper. We're talking about shaping a child's mental health and their overall shot at success in life. I mean, just read that quote for a second. It's from the National Literacy Trust, and it's incredibly powerful. 3 times more likely to have higher mental well-being. Think about that. Reading gives kids a way to understand the world, to process their own emotions, to develop empathy. It's like a toolkit for building a healthy mind. It helps them relax, feel happy, and it can even build the confidence they need to tackle problems. And here's what's truly striking. Study after study has found that reading for pleasure, just enjoying a book, is a more powerful predictor of a child's future success than their family's background or how much money they have. So a kid who loves to read from a lower-income family can actually outperform a kid from a high-income family who doesn't. And why is that? Well, it's because reading builds the exact things you need to succeed: a huge vocabulary, general knowledge about how the world works, an understanding of other cultures, and maybe most importantly, empathy. So the billion-dollar question is, if it's so important, how do we get kids to actually do it? Well, the secret isn't nagging. It's not about rewards or sticker charts. It's about tapping into a core psychological principle that can totally change a child's relationship with books. The goal here is to build something called intrinsic motivation. We want kids to read because they want to, because it's genuinely fun and interesting, not because they're going to get a prize or to avoid getting in trouble. In fact, some studies showed that by high school, external rewards are actually linked to lower reading achievement. The real lasting drive has to come from within. So how do we spark it? Okay, check out this fascinating study. Researchers set up a really clever experiment. They had one group of students who were just assigned a task. No choice. But the second group, they were given what seemed like a choice. They were asked to pick between 2 topics, like social science or natural science. But here's the twist. It was a fake choice. No matter what they picked, they got the exact same reading material. So what happened? The result was amazing. This simple act of feeling like they made a choice, even when that choice had zero actual impact on what they read, led to significantly better learning and memory. They remembered the material better just because they thought they were in control. The feeling of choice was more important than the choice itself. And this right here, this is the aha moment. This is the magic behind it all. Giving someone a choice taps into our deep, basic need for autonomy, that feeling of being in the driver's seat of our own life. And that feeling of control, that sense of autonomy, doesn't just feel good. The study found it directly supercharges the learning process itself. It's a clear path. Choice creates a feeling of control, and that feeling unlocks the brain's ability to learn. Okay, so we've got the why and the how from a psychology standpoint. Now let's get super practical. How do we take this science of choice and motivation and actually apply it in the real world for every single type of reader? First things first, we have to ask this critical question. A child might not want to read, and we might label them reluctant, but we have to understand the reason why. Because, and this is important, a reluctant reader is not the same thing as a struggling reader. So here's the difference. A reluctant reader can read just fine. They just lack the motivation. Maybe school has made reading feel like work, or they just haven't found a book that excites them. A struggling reader, on the other hand, resists reading because it's genuinely hard for them. Their reluctance is a symptom of a skills gap. The approach for each is different, but the goal is always the same: build confidence and spark that internal motivation. So how do we build that motivation? Here are 4 proven strategies. First, let them read just for fun. No book reports, no tests, no strings attached. Second, and this is the big one, give them choice. Let them pick the book, the topic, even the format. Comics, magazines, blogs, it all counts as reading. Third, make it social. A small book club with friends can make reading feel collaborative, not isolating. And fourth, get active. Acting out a story makes reading a fun, dynamic group activity. All right, let's wrap this all up with a toolkit of creative, fun ideas you can use to transform reading from a chore into a full-blown adventure for the whole family. It really is all about turning reading into a positive, warm experience. When you read aloud, go for it. Use silly voices. Make it a performance. Create a special, cozy reading nook with pillows and blankets. And just talk about books casually. Ask them what they think of the cover. And try to bring the stories off the page. Cook a recipe you found in a book, or head to the local library and just let them loose to explore. And you can get even more creative. How about a scavenger hunt where all the clues are little riddles they have to read, or a family book swap to get some new titles in the house? Even something as simple as writing letters to family and friends is fantastic reading and writing practice. Or you can create a story together as a family, with each person adding 1 sentence at a time. The possibilities are totally endless. Ultimately, all the data, all the psychology, all these strategies, they all point to one simple truth. Reading with a child is one of the most powerful gifts you can possibly give them. It's not just about learning how to read, it's about discovering new worlds, building empathy, and fostering a curious mind that's going to last a lifetime. So, the only question left is, what new world will you explore together tonight?